All right. Hello, everybody.
Wow, what a great
Our
introduction.
I got a crazy, my crazy Be Connected background on there. I guess I better fix that.
Here's Johnny.
There you go. All right, there we go. Now I'm back in my office.
You teleported from Dallas, Texas to Newport in a second?
Trans-
Wow.
Transporting instantly across the
Yeah.
across the lines.
All right. Thank you. Good morning.
All right, it is December 10th here. We are running out of year very quickly. So hopefully you guys have, I know a lot of people didn't get quite what they wanted out of this year, but hopefully you at least got a chance to move forward. And I know I made a lot of forward advances, even continuously throughout the year. Like one of the things that I just did this week, I've been telling you guys to do all year, which is create more lead magnets. So I hopped on Fiverr, just kind of took a look around, and for $10, I got somebody to do a really cool 3D cover for me for a lead magnet that I have had sitting on my desktop for probably over a year. it's it's like I've got all these assets at my fingertips and rarely call on them. So, and I think you guys probably have a lot of those same opportunities. You've got things right at your fingertips, and one thing or another keeps you from accessing them for your benefit. So, that was one of the things, as we kind of slide into the end of the year, that I want to make sure everybody gets what they want out of 2021. Like I said, maybe we didn't get quite what we wanted out of 2020. Some did, though. I mean, it was a very good year for us, for our company. It was perfect positioning. Everything that rolled down the pipe basically forced people into conversations that we'd been having with them for a very long time that they were just stalled on. And then this came down the line. It was like, oh shit, now we got to get our butt in gear because we have to. The pandemic changed a lot of things for a lot of people. It forced things that some of us weren't ready for. And luckily, I happened to be ready. I was there, like when the water fell, I was there to catch it. So that's what you want to do, is try and look at the road ahead and figure out what's 2021 going to bring, and where can you position yourself to take advantage of that. I mean, a lot of people have asked me over the years, they seem to think that I don't make any mistakes, and that's couldn't be further from the truth. I make a lot of mistakes. I try a lot of stuff and not all of it works. Like, for instance, all the software and stuff that comes down the pipe, I buy it all thinking that everyone is going to be the magic bullet that is promised in the ad copy. And very, very rarely does it actually happen. So, and same thing with business. I've been in a tremendous amount of different little niche, nuanced businesses over the last 40 years. And not all of them have panned out. But, a lot of people see the success that I have in certain areas, and they think that everything I touch turns to gold. And that's not true. It's just some of them do. And if you're only working on one thing, your odds of hitting one out of the park, it's one in a million. Using the ACT program, you can increase your odds radically. I've talked to 3 people this week that I didn't realize how well they had done using the ACT program, and they didn't document it. But there was 3 people that could have easily gotten the gold bar award that I've talked to this week. And I'm going to kind of re-kick that program in gear so we can give another one of those gold bars away in 2021. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, every once in a while on eBay, I have a watch list on eBay for these things that are, it's a replica of $100,000 bill and it's coated in 24 karat gold. So it's like a 4-ounce bar of silver, and it's like 3D, whatever they call that, as a replica of $100,000 bill. And, you know, some of you don't even know that there was a $100,000 bill, but there was, and it had Woodrow Wilson on it. It's a really cool artifact. And every once in a while, I'll see one on eBay, and I buy them so I can give them away as prizes. So what we do is we do a thing called the 100K challenge, and it's anybody that is using the ACT program to create funnels and increase their business using the ACT program by $100,000. And then we give them, you know, that 100K gold bar as a prize. So I've given a couple away already, and I would love to do more of that in 2021. And then those people also, those are our 100K club members. And all it takes, there's no cost associated with that. Once you're in the 100K club, you're in the club. you're part of our deal. So that's what you want to aspire to, is to be in that 100K club. Because here's the thing. I mean, it's like anything else. Everything that you do in life is generally difficult the first time. Right? I mean, if you've never done something, it looks ominous until you do it. And then you're like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. And then you do it a second time and you're like, oh, well, that was a little easier the second time. And then pretty soon it becomes, that's just at will, at your disposal. And I know for me, it was like, it's like that with fishing. There's particular fish out there that sport fishermen fish for, and the first time you catch one is always the hardest, but then it seems like once you've caught one, you catch 2 and 3 and 4, and then it's like all you want wherever you go. The same thing I've found with business. It's like once you achieve a goal in business, achieving it again is way easier the second time. So what that comes down to is you figure out how to use the ACT program to hit 100K. How easy is it to do it the second time and the third time? And pretty soon, 100K is not on your hit list. It's going to be 1 million. And then once you hit that, how easy is it to do it again? It is a principle that will work as like a leverage pry bar in your business, you know, and life in general. So that's, you know, that's one of the things that we want to focus on for 2021 is how to do all of that, how to do all of what we do a little bit better, so we can start hitting some of those goals and achievements. All right, so let's get to anybody that's got issues, anything you want me to specifically hit on here, so I don't wind up just soapbox talking here for the rest of the call. Gregory, go ahead.
Woo! I'm gonna turn off my visuals. It's distracting to me.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I went through the Bo Easton program last week.
Oh, okay.
I was not here. And also I got it at a good price. Originally, he was what, 2,500 plus when you do it live in San Diego, plus travel, plus hotel, plus other miscellaneous stuff with it. So he offered it online for $997, and I took it.
Okay.
It was beneficial. And here's why. You remember, you keep mentioning find the heart and then you convince the head.
Seduce the heart.
Okay, seduce the heart. I had a big problem in seducing the heart. I always would start off, well, you make this money to change your lifestyle. Well, yeah, you make money to change lifestyle, but it's not connecting. So out of the process, I came up with this, and this is the test now for the gallery. Here we go. I have a daughter. Her name is Tina. She's almost 50 years old. I am very worried about what her retirement might be in 17 years. That's why I do stock trading, options trading, and getting into Forex to teach her how to develop an independent financial income.
Okay.
So that's my lead start. Now, feedback, whatever, go.
Well, so that's really cool that you do it for her. But that whole thing about seduce the heart and convince the head, that's a different, it's kind of used in a different purpose. There's the one thing, I think the thing that you're talking about is your why, like why you do what you do. And that's a different animal. If you can't get behind why you're doing what you're doing, it's really hard to like get out of your own way and actually do anything. So you have to have a reason. It's like our reason for being. You know, some people it's family, some people it's kids, you know, some people it's pets, you know, it's whatever it is in your life that really just gets you going. That's kind of the why we do what we do.
Well, the why, I've always had the why. The why's always been there.
Yes.
From years ago, which is it's the same thing, but from a different angle. The why was developing the legacy for the family to have financial independence.
Yeah, but so it was really yours was really driven by family, right?
Yes.
It's to take care of, like, just that word legacy. That's for you to leave behind for your family.
Yes.
And then that why really percolates into, you know, the mother of necessity. That's like invention is the mother of necessity, or necessity is the mother of invention. However that saying goes, it's like when we need something, we do it for ourselves. And then a lot of times we find out, hey, this is a good product. Other people would want this too. In, you know, with Frank Kern, one of the things that he said, one of his deals is, one of his stories rather, is the reluctant hero story. And the reluctant hero story works really well because people somehow attach to it just naturally. They just bond to it like crazy, like glue. And the hero story, the reluctant hero story, goes something like this. It was like, hey, I had this huge problem. And the problem associates with the person you're talking to. They've got the same problem. So it starts off like that. Now you've got a common bond, you know, problem. And then, you know, then you've got the saga. You've got the bigger problem is there's no solution. Nobody's offering this. I tried everything. And when I got to the end of my rope and I needed to have this problem solved and no one was doing it for me, I created my own solution. And the solution worked so well, it was awesome. But then other people that had the problem begged me to share it with them. And I reluctantly did. And then they got their problem solved too. And then they told me I had to share it with the world. And it's that reluctant hero of, well, yeah, they kind of twisted my arm, so I'm getting it out to everybody. That story, I've seen a lot of people use that. And that's like, you know, Bo Eason, he's all about story. He's about find the story that will connect you to your audience and get them to move forward or move down the field. He's a football guy, so he's going to give you a lot of football analogies. He's like, this is the play that's going to move you down the field. So that's, you know, that's one of the things. So stories, you know, if you're talking about Bo Eason, he's all about story, and stories connect. Stories sell. You know, if you have just a dry product and it's just, you know, there's no story behind it, you don't really have the intrigue. You know, everything has to have a story because people relate to those.
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Hey, I'm in the car, but I you know, I didn't want to miss this, but if you don't mind me sharing real quickly on this particular topic,
sure.
As a segue into maybe adding some value, I speak on purpose. So my umbrella talks they don't cover purpose, they cover performance and success. But how I get people there is by first helping them identify their purpose. And so many people don't start with purpose. And if you do that, there's power in your purpose. I tell people all the time, there's power in your purpose. When you figure out your purpose in life, where you are right now and where that's going to take you later in life in terms of the big picture, your why comes out of knowing your purpose, and your why and your purpose are intimately connected. So once you really identify your purpose, then as he's talking about his why, his story of how he got into where he is and what he's working on and what his big picture story or purpose is about, all comes out in terms of what you're talking about, story. And that is the emotional connection and the hook based on his own transformation and helping someone else transform and succeed.
Mhm.
So I always start people out with purpose.
Yeah.
And the three most important questions I ask people is to first ask yourself these most important questions. And I believe these are the three most important questions you can ask yourself. Who am I? Why am I here? And what am I supposed to be doing with this life that's been given to me? And so when people start there and go internal and really go on this journey of discovery of their purpose, it's amazing what happens. And then you start identifying the gremlins and what's been holding them back and getting out of their head, so to speak, and leading down the pathway of their own success, how they define it. So that might add some value to this gentleman if he's talking, because I couldn't see who it was, if he's talking about, really how do I connect and get people to come into my world and take what I have to offer. You got to know your purpose in life first. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's some good stuff. And I know myself, I've always had trouble with that one. I know. Yeah, I mean, I just.
And it's not that you can't be successful. You're very successful. But when I ask people, okay, well, what's the problem? Well, I don't have any direction. Well, I'm not feeling satisfied and happy with where I'm at. Well, let's talk about this. Have you ever thought about what your purpose is? And that can change. But when you really, truly find that big thing, that one thing you're supposed to be doing, it's definitely connected to you discovering your purpose. And then you can branch out. And people who are walking around who know their purpose, they're just happier people. I find that all the time.
Yeah.
But when you ask someone in conversation, what's your purpose in life? Most people look at you like deer in the headlights. They're like, what are you talking about? I've thought about that, but I really don't know. I've struggled with that, but I really don't know. But you want to accomplish X, Y, and Z, but you don't even know if you're in alignment with that because you don't really know your purpose. And really, things get easier once you figure out your purpose because confidence comes out of that. So many things come out of that.
Yeah, I think I probably have done it. I just didn't consciously acknowledge it.
Exactly.
Because when I look at myself, I do way more for others than I do for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I focused on my own business as much as I focus on everyone else's,
mm-hmm.
I would be probably in the $1 billion club.
But the key there is would it make you happy? And a lot of people, when I talk about this, when I ask people what is their success, what is it they want to accomplish, it's different for everybody. Most people think first money, but it's not necessarily money. Some people, if you want to become a multimillionaire, there's nothing wrong. You want to run a great organization, a large organization, there's nothing wrong with that. But I have clients that all they want to do is go out into Nebraska and have 10 children and work a farm. And that's their idea of success. But society puts all these other pressures on us to be something we're not really wanting to be.
Yeah. For me, I mean, my thing, the thing that I want most out of life is freedom, the freedom to just go do whatever I want to do and all that.
On your terms.
But the thing, I think, if you ask me like what my real driver is, it's not money. It really isn't. the money
Mhm.
thing, I've kind of figured that out.
Yeah.
That's like, once you do one thing, it's easy.
It's more of what's really exciting you and bringing you joy,
Yeah.
and helping other people is sounds like that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. And it comes back to, I forget the guy's name that said this, but he was I think he was a coach. He was the one that talked about if you help others get what they want out of life, you'll get whatever you want.
Yep.
And I have found that to be so true. And
Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I just, I was doing that before I heard it.
Mhm.
And then when I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah,
Makes sense.
maybe that's why things work for me so well.
And a lot of people they get that backwards. It's me rather than serve other people.
Yeah.
And you're right. When I figured out my purpose, because I was like you, I was just fighting it. I didn't want to become a speaker. I didn't want to do anything like that. Never thought that was even possible. But once all these things lined up and it started happening, I realized that my purpose in life at this point is to help other people become what they want to become.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of it's getting over these different gremlins that we have in our life.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of my gremlins is self-promotion. It's like, I'll get on different calls and stuff, and people want me to they say, well, tell us a little bit about you. And I'm like, oh God, I just want to like crawl in my shell when they say that. It's like I immediately turn it around and I'm like, well, let's talk about what's more important. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about what you need. Because I don't matter,
That's great. That's great, John. But really, you should, because what you're really doing is talking about what you're passionate about and what you love to do, and that brings them in. And then you can say, well, what about you? How can I serve you? How can I help you? But there's nothing wrong with promoting yourself from the standpoint of telling people what you love to do and what you're passionate about.
Yeah,
that's the emotional connection right there.
Yeah, and it's even, I don't know. There's some other little thing I've got in my head too that's probably a stumbling block. Whenever I hear people introduce me and talk about me, I'm much better with that. But whenever I hear it, I just think, oh my God, really? and it's all true stuff, but it's like never something that I would come out and say.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's just like there's some uncomfortableness about that.
Yeah. Well, I came out of the corporate world, and so did you. And there are a lot of people in the corporate world that are really good at expressing that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then there are other doers who lay in the background, and they unfortunately never get recognized because they don't speak up. So it's a double-edged sword. And it sounds like you probably were one of those. And what I try to do is get people to do it in a way that is really talking about their passion and what they love to do and what makes them happy and what brings them joy. And if they can do that, then the rest is just easy.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody just this morning about something very similar to that. And it had to do with my resellers. I have a bunch of people that resell my commercial services, and I haven't done a sale. Like I haven't sold myself to the corporate world for any commercial services for, I don't know, probably 5 years. It's all my resellers do that. And I'll actually get on and act as though I'm one of their employees. Like I'll do sales presentations for them. I'll do tech calls for them, all that. Totally behind the scenes. I'm just, hey, this guy that, I'm just going to answer your questions and all that. Just pushing it all back to the company, the reseller. It's their customer, it's their client. They don't know that it's, my company providing the services. They think it's them. And I'm perfectly happy doing that. I would rather do that because it's more behind the scenes. I'm not out in the spotlight, so to speak.
Yeah, no one's yelling at you.
Exactly.
Undercover boss. I mean, no one yells at the undercover boss. They don't know who the hell he is.
But yeah, it's cool. I know we all definitely have demons. Maybe I can get some of those demons out of my way for 2021.
John, you're just very humble and incredibly competent in sharing your generosity and your expertise.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm much more comfortable sharing, stuff that will help people for sure.
Yeah, and handsome too.
Well, now you've gone too far.
Hey, don't be shy. Use your moneymaker. Use your moneymaker.
No, I've got that. What do they call that? The face.
Your moneymaker.
I've got
It's
that
supposed
face for radio, right?
It's
John?
supposed to be shake your moneymaker.
Yeah, Shantha, go ahead.
John, I have a question. My plan this month for the rest of this month is to increase my banner season account by customers as well as by partners. So I'm working on setting the landing pages. So I have two different ones, one for somebody who just wants to use it for their business and one for somebody who wants to grow their business.
Okay.
So those would be the two things. Would I need to do separate landing pages for each industry specific? Like if I'm just targeting realtors, because that's one of the big ones that I'm targeting, would I just need to put all specific things? And then if it's somebody for travel, something else?
You can do it either way.
Okay.
What I can tell you is that if you're pressed for time and it's a matter of if you have time for one and it would be a generic one, then I would do that.
Okay.
But for results, I can tell you this, the more specific you are, the more it's going to convert.
Okay.
And I use this example all the time. This is a perfect example of a presentation that I created, and I created it for Glazier Kennedy. And when I spoke in Glazier Kennedy, that was like 2011, they had 2,000 people in the audience, 2,000 business owners that I was speaking to. And I was selling a $2,000 package, and I sold basically 70 units. So I had $140,000 in sales from a 1-hour presentation. When you look at the dollars, you're like, well, that's great. But when you look at the conversion ratio, 70 out of 2,000, that's not that good. That's only 3.5% conversion ratio or 3.5% close ratio. That's not very good from a stage presentation point of view. It was good dollar-wise, yeah, and I had no complaints. That was my biggest income hour ever. So I was doing backflips, but when I got back and I started looking, I'm like, oh man, that really sucked. How could it suck to make 140 grand of sales in an hour, right? That's being pretty hard on yourself. But one of the things that I got out of that was, after my presentation, a guy came up to me and he said, hey, I would love for you to speak at the American Dental Association. It's in 2 weeks and it's in Denver, Colorado. I'm like, I'd love to do that. I took the exact same presentation. I had less time because I didn't, my time slot was half the time I had at Glazier Kennedy. I was given the last speaking slot on the last day right after lunch. So I had everything stacked against me. But the same exact presentation, I just went through it quicker. I didn't get deeper into the stories like I did at Glazier Kennedy. But what I did was I made it specific to the dentists. I changed out a couple of the slides instead of using generic examples, and I used specific examples for the dentists. My close ratio was 43% in that room. At the worst possible time slot, everything stacked against me. And that's a huge difference between the 3.5% and 43%. That's like a crazy difference. And the only thing I could attribute that to was how specific it was. Every example I used, all my terminology, I changed. Like instead of using clients, one little simple change was patients. Dentists don't have clients, they have patients. And that comes back to the ACT program, exactly that analysis, understanding their language and speaking their language, understanding their problems. Like my opener in the presentation was coming out with the big ass problem of how bad business is and the economy and all that. Well, with the dentists, I used articles out of their association magazines and articles, you know, specific to dentists, how many dentists were going to go out of business that year, right out of their trade journals. So the answer to your question is you can do it either way, but your results will reflect it.
Okay.
If you don't have time, though, to do it specifically, you are better off to do something rather than nothing. So what you might do is create your generic presentation and get one up and running so you have something. And then if you've got a target audience that's big enough, go back and just duplicate it and change the languaging.
Okay.
But if they're not big enough, this is something you got to be careful of, because it can be a time suck on your part, is if you chase things that are too small. You know, the amount of effort should be correlating to the amount of reward. So if you've got like 10 little niches and then you've got one big one, you might find that your time 100% into the big one will pay off way more than all the little ones combined. And it's just not worth it. So, you know, that's like the first lesson in ACT is where I talk about, you know, profitable segments of markets. Being able to identify those is the key to your success. It's like the first cornerstone of the whole ACT program, is determining, is this a profitable segment? And if I've got 10 profitable segments, which one's the most profitable? And those are where I would recommend focusing first.
Okay.
So
yeah, on this, I'm not going to focus so much on the card and gifts for this, for the realtors. We are finding that the lead generation where they can buy the mailing list is a huge. I just posted a post about getting 10-cent leads in a real estate group. And I got like over 100 requests for information on that. So I have all their email addresses. So
that's
because
awesome.
yeah, I just didn't give it out to them in a post or anything. I said, drop your email to give me your email address. And then I sent them the link to that. But what I should have done is sent them a link to my call, but I can still do that because I still have
yeah. See, now
email.
That is a perfect example for everyone on here of a big idea. You know, the big idea, there's 3 pieces to a big idea, right? It's the promise. The promise is 1. The unique mechanism to deliver the result is 2. And the third one is saying it in a compelling way they've never heard it before. So if you took that one idea, let's say it's for realtors specifically, and your big idea was revolving around how realtors can now get 10-cent leads with this new whatever, you know, come up with a unique mechanism for it that they've never heard of, that would be a great big idea. The big idea could have a landing page, it could have an opt-in, and you could generate a list doing that really quickly. That is like the perfect storm for a list builder. And for everyone else, that's what you got to do. You got to figure out what is it that they will crawl through the phone to get. You know, if you've got people that have been like Woody'd probably do backflips to get 10-cent leads right now for real estate.
Some of them leads, damn it.
So you got to figure out like what is their biggest pain point, and that's a great one. If you can show realtors how to get 10-cent leads, it's like you got a winner. You could build a monster list off that, and then as they came in for that, that's your attention grabber, right? After the next step for any successful marketing campaign. Once you've grabbed their attention, what's next? Anybody? Create demand and desire. This is where you take that attention and you refocus it. You refocus it onto what you're selling. And you like, that attention came from them wanting something, right? The big idea is a promise of delivering something. Now you have the thing that's going to deliver the result. So that's the next step in the process is create demand and desire. So this goes back to, to what Gregory had mentioned earlier, is that seducing of the heart. There's no better way to create demand and desire than to seduce the heart. The heart is what wants things. The heart is like our subconscious. The heart's like a little kid. It just wants what it wants and it doesn't care. There's no reasoning. There's no logic. The heart is what you seduce. The problem is, once you seduce the heart, the head's going to step in the way and say no. So you have to not only seduce the heart, you have to convince the head. The head is where logic comes in. That's where, your claim proof benefit, that's where you have to stamp out your objections. So the head, the job of the head is to protect the heart. So you have the subconscious being the heart and the conscious being the head. So the head's going to step in the way because the head does not want the heart to get broken. The head's going to say, I don't believe it. And this is something I actually learned from JR in Be Connected. He said there's 3 really big keys to people buying into something. And first of all, is it easy? Does it work? And can I do it? And when I thought about that, I'm like, that's brilliant. Those 3 things, and it doesn't even matter the order. Those 3 things are where a lot of objections come in. Like, think about that. I can't do that. I tried it before. I can't do that. So if you seduce the heart and the heart wants it, but the head thinks that it can't, that it personally or they personally can't do it for whatever reason, that's going to kill your sale. That'll kill your conversion. What if they think it's not easy? What if they think, oh, that's too hard. I'm not going to work that hard. I've tried that. I know I'm not going to do it. And if it's not easy, that's going to create a big objection. And the other thing, does it work? How many things have you seen and go, yeah, does that really work? And it's that it's that little question in the back of your mind. I don't believe it. Every objection, spoken or not, comes from a belief. So understanding, what those objections might be is really important when you're doing that seduce the heart and convince the head. Because the head, that's where you're going to have a problem. That's where the objections are going to come in and you're going to get a no. And if you're doing this in a sales funnel online, we don't have the ability or the luxury to answer objections. Our sales funnel has to do it. So we have to anticipate those. Otherwise, the thing's dead. Think about a salesperson. If a salesperson just asked for the order and got a yes or no and took that for, oh, okay, well, sorry, it was nice meeting you. They don't do that. They ask what's holding you back. Like, oh, really? You don't want to move forward with this? They can use facial expressions. They can use gestures like something's wrong with you. And none of us like to feel like there's something wrong with us, right? So all of a sudden now their magic is starting to work. You start second guessing yourself of like, oh, well, maybe I should do that. Just from their expressions and their reaction to you. That's what we need to be. We need to build that into our sales funnels. We need to presuppose all of those things, like this is the right thing for you. And there's, if not, it's like, really? Why? You know, they have to, it's kind of a tricky thing of how to do that. But that's all part of that second step of create, demand, and desire. Third step is kind of a built-in piece, eliminating the objections, and then finally making an offer. And a lot of people get hung up on the offer. The offer is really simple. And the offer almost doesn't matter if you've done the first three right. If you've grabbed their attention, created demand and desire, and eliminated objections, your offer could suck and it's still going to work. Your offer could literally just be stating what it is and how much it costs. But if you've done the first three right, they're going to buy it no matter what. Now, you know,
the weird thing, I was on KPFK. They were selling a seminar to end suffering. It was a couple $100. The guy gave a great pitch. I ordered it and never listened to it.
yeah,
I still have.
yeah,
But there is something about that. You know, we don't like change.
yeah.
Something's really got to be painful to drive you into change. And I was talking to my brother the other night. He goes, "Let's go on this great fast." And he,
Yeah.
you know, like $300, and he'll clean out your clean out.
Uh-huh.
And I got all excited with him, and then I thought, you know, that kind of fast at this point in my life would kill me. And
But
so
what you like though is you like the big idea of the transformation of the end result. That's what gets us every time.
yeah. And the same with the suffering, ending suffering. It was like,
Yeah.
let's do that. And then I thought, oh man, I got to look at everything I'm suffering about.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Our heart loves promise. Our heart loves that. You know, it's the head doesn't like change, because the head realizes, oh shit, there's some work involved here. The heart don't care about that. The heart, just like I said, it wants what it wants. It's like a little kid. It wants candy and there ain't no telling them no, right? It's gonna get the candy even if it makes them sick when they eat it. It's the head. The head protects us. It's that mechanism that says, no, you really shouldn't eat that because it's going to make you sick. And well, the heart doesn't care. The heart wants the chocolate. And what you're talking about, Woody, is the transformation. You know, as adults, we all want transformation. Nobody is happy where they are. No matter who we are or what you think, you always want more. You know, if you get a cookie, you're going to want milk. If you make $1 million, you're going to want 2. It doesn't matter what it is. And that's where the timeline exercise comes in. There is an absolute fortune after the sale. There's an absolute fortune in after you make your sale, whether you supply the rest of the products or not. Because whoever you sell to, there is a lifetime value of that customer. And it goes way beyond whatever you're offering. And if you can forecast, like that whole book of What to Expect When You're Expecting, that whole book was an affiliate model to sell that expectant mother, not the book, but all the other shit she's going to need for the next 18 years, right? That's what it was all about. It was a lead magnet. You could give that book away. I used that model for a woman that was selling maternity dresses. And I said, look, there's not enough profit in your dress for you to survive. For you to advertise and bring new customers in, it's a disaster what you're headed for. By the time you advertise, you have a customer that's only going to be, their lifespan's 3 months. That's it. After 3 months, they don't need your maternity dress anymore. You're going to have to find a new customer. That is no way to go through life, man. Having to constantly churn customers with no future revenue. That's a horrible business model. So I taught her, I said, we don't even have to make money on the dress. We can lose money on the dress. What you're doing is you're acquiring a lifetime customer. All you have to do is you have to become the professional and figure out what she's going to need every step of the way for the next 18 years. And you can make a fortune off of each person that comes into your funnel. I mean, your funnel should not end with whatever it is that you're selling. That's just your door opener. That gets you a person that you can create a lifelong relationship with and figure out what they need. You just become the go-to guy or the go-to gal. You'll know what's on the road ahead before they do. And even if you don't supply, you don't have to build all those products either. You just have to be the pro and go out and find them. You're like the bird dog. You know, you go out and you're sniffing the ground ahead saying, oh yeah, go over here. This is what you're going to need next. And, you know, you pick up a nickel in the process. Every time you do that, there's a reward for you sniffing the dirt on the road ahead. And the more people you pile into the pipeline, the more of those nickels that are going to be produced, because you only have to sniff the dirt once. And that dirt's going to chip nickels out for the rest of your life.
I imagine that's where you're bringing in the affiliate programs and those kinds of things as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. Sniffing the dirt, finding the affiliate products out there that's going to benefit this person. And, you know, sometimes those affiliate products, they suck at marketing a lot of times. They built great products, but they don't know how to sell them. And their business suffers because of it. So now you come in and you be a superhero for another person. You're like, hey, I know marketing. I know how to create a big idea around your product. I can grab people's attention. I can create demand and desire for your product. And I can help you sell this thing. And all I need is to get paid for it. And that's an affiliate deal. Some of them don't even have affiliate programs, but they're happy to pay you sales commissions. You know, people like business owners that are greedy typically fail. And here's one of the parts where their greed gets in the way is they don't want to pay for sales, right? Sales should be your number one expense. If you've got something to sell, let's say there's $100 profit in your item, right? And if you sell it yourself, you get the $100, right? But you had to do that work, right? That's a job. Now, if you have a salesperson and the salesperson wants $75 to make the sale, you get $25 for pretty much doing nothing. That's a good deal in my eyes. If I could get 1,000 of those guys and give them the lion's share of the revenue to make 25% off of their efforts in a mass scale all day long. All day long. That's why it's so important to know your numbers in your business so you know how much you can really give up. A lot of people don't know how much it really costs to build something. You know, they don't take into account all the little things, the overhead, the, you know, keeping the lights on, the you know, recouping their cost of research and development to create the product. You know, all
and your
those
tax. People don't plan tax.
What was that, Woody?
People do not plan paying taxes.
Oh yeah, yeah, taxes. I mean, you have to really know how much profit is in each item. And when you know that, that goes again back to that first lesson in ACT is it's the freedom formula, figuring out what you have to offer, how much profit is in each item, and then how many items do we have to move? And it all just becomes a math equation. At that point, we know we have to move X amount of units per month. So for me, when I get that number, I'm like, okay, I need another number now. How many affiliates do I need to find to move those numbers for me? because I don't want to do that work. I mean, you guys know how lazy I am, right? I don't want to do sales. That's not a thing I want to do in my business. I would rather build systems that help people do sales than do the sales myself. So that's where my time is best spent. But it's all, you can't do any of that if you don't know your numbers. So those numbers become really important of, realistically what something costs and how much profit is left over. Because once you get that profit number, an affiliate, you can sell that to an affiliate. Like if you say, look, here's the real numbers, because let's say you've got a product that's $1,000 and you figure there's $100 profit left over. You give them 75%, that's $75 out of $1,000 sale. That's not going to look very good to them. That's going to look like you're greedy. But if you present it to them and you say, look, here's how much it costs for me to provide this product. There's $100 left over. I'll give you the lion's share of it. Now, how do you think they feel about you? They don't feel like you're greedy, right? It's knowing those numbers and being able to express those. That's what's going to drive your affiliates. That's what's going to get people behind you. That's like, that's how you create a movement, get people on your side, getting people to work for you. Those affiliates are gold. They're absolutely golden. I mean, the lion's share of my income comes off of sales that were made by affiliates. You guys know how much sales I do directly. It's like occasionally I'll get asked to speak on stage and I'll make an offer. That's it. I'm either building sales funnels, sending traffic to them, affiliates, or selling from stage. That's my main sources of income. I also make sure that when I do sell and I bring a new prospect in, that I provide a lifetime value for them. Not like Kartra is a perfect example. When somebody comes into my funnels, wherever they come in, I know one of the things they're going to want is an automated selling process. So Kartra is a perfect thing. I don't have to go build it. I just have to introduce them to something that's good for them. Maybe give them a training, show them how to use it, maybe set it up for them. Think about that. If I actually spent a few hours setting it up for them, making sure that it worked for them, Kartra pays 40%. So if they're paying $97 a month, I'm getting $40 a month from that. What's that? $480 a year. So if I look at, they're going to probably use it for the next 10 years. I just made $4,800 for a couple hours of work. That's a good deal. So you got to look at stuff like that. You got to look at, what's that customer worth lifetime? Then it's all based on the numbers. So you should get really good at finding things that are good for your customer base and showing them. That's where the marketing comes in. If there's one value or skill that you guys get out of me, it should be how to do marketing. That's why I created the whole ACT marketing protocol, so you could understand the process. Because if you get that skill set, that will be the most valuable skill set of your entire life, your entire business life. I can guarantee it, because that's how you're going to generate revenue. It's the whole thought process behind it. It's business, and I've spent a lifetime figuring it out. Most of my life, I did it the wrong way. A lot of stuff that was really, really worked for me is stuff that I've learned in the last 20 years. The previous 20 to that was hard work. I made a lot of money, but it's not something I would even consider going back to. Knowing what I know now, there's no way in hell I would do that again. So marketing and figuring out how to market not only yourself, but other people's stuff for your benefit. It's a win-win. you figure out how to market it for you, and it works for them, and everybody gets paid. That's
John,
high value.
Could I have my do my quick 30 seconds? I have an ad that I'm going to be running on Spectrum TV here in LA, and tomorrow is our production meeting. Can I just play you my 30-second
Sure.
practice? And all right, let's see where I am.
Let's hear it.
This is really lame. Well, I have to hold the phone up, but I don't know any other way to do it without the camera. Well, there I am. All right, ready? Here we go.
Let her rip.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see if this.
Woody should be chanting right now. Technology is my friend. Technology is my friend.
Woody, do you have it on your computer? He has it on your computer. He can share it from their screen.
Oh, it's on my phone.
I don't want to play, but I don't want to buy your house. I do want to help you sell it and accomplish your goals. I'm here to serve you. We offer exceptional concierge services. Don't leave any money on the table. What you don't know in real estate can cost you. I'm tired of seeing folks getting taken advantage. Go to woodyplackman.com. Get my free Insider guide. Ready to sell or buy. And call me now.
Did that say an outsider guide?
Whatever. Some piece of shit.
You might want to change that to an insider guide. Nobody wants to be on the
Right,
outside.
the inside guy.
Yeah. They want to be on the inside of the fold, not the outside.
Right. But did it touch the art and the head? You know, don't leave money on the table. What you don't know can hurt you.
Yeah, you had some components in there. I think Tammy actually sent me that script last night to look at for you.
Oh, good.
So I'll look through it and I'll see if I can refine it for you a little bit, and then we can sharpen your sword.
And I just want to complete with this. This has been an amazing year. You know, this has been like when I was a kid in the Bronx. I remember we took this kid to my mom and me to eat Chinese food. And he goes, I don't like Chinese food. My mother goes, you ever try it? No. Before I got involved with you and Craig and the entrepreneurial gangsters that have a place in my heart, I didn't know anything. I got onto this train pulling through the station as an express and tried to hop on it. And I got to tell you, it's been a hell of a year getting bruised and pulling off a train and not getting on it, not knowing how to turn on my computer, all that. So, you know, all you guys are so far ahead of me, but I'll tell you this. We got to love ourselves at the end of the year, to have the courage to go into next year powerfully. And I also thought, Randy, because of your share, you know, about having a purpose, you know, going into a fight with like, my goal is this. I was thinking of maybe everyone doing an inventory at the end of the year that every business does. And it says like what worked and what didn't work as well. And what did I like? And what didn't I like? And what did I hear all year long that resonated me that I want to work on next year? And this year I got like 5 notebooks right working. I don't know what the heck is in them. So I am gonna pull the pages out of these notebooks and put them in files and then put them to work. And that'll be my idea factory. So I figured that out because I couldn't organize the notebooks. I would just pull the pages out of the notebooks. You don't need a notebook. So, it takes a while to get some of these tricks. And I just want to acknowledge all of you for helping me. And, Gregory, and your football speech, everyone has helped me this year. And I would be an ungrateful wretch not to say thank you. So thank you, and thank you all from the top sides of my heart.
Well, I think I speak for everyone that you're very welcome, and we are glad that you got on the train. And
am I? I don't even know.
You're definitely on the train. I don't know that you realize how far you came this year, Woody.
Amen.
I don't know that you actually realize it. Like, I'm one of those guys. I'm going to speak my mind. If you're doing something that I don't think's right, I'm going to tell you. And I did. Like, one of the things I really don't like about a lot of masterminds is people just think they're there to encourage everyone. And I'm not there to encourage anyone unless I think it's a good idea. And you were on kind of the wrong path there. And you had a lot of people encouraging you, and it was really churning my belly to watch that. So,
yeah,
hopefully I didn't offend you when I stepped in and said, no, Woody, you need to really change directions here, and you're headed toward a cliff, and I don't want to see you go over.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's worth $35 a month right there.
I don't want to see anyone go over a cliff. And, I'm the first one to yell at the top of my lungs that, hey, stop, take a breath. Let's think about this. Do you really, and with the ACT program, it's got all the tools you need to make those decisions. Like, going back to the very square one of, is this a profitable segment of a market that I can fulfill? That's absolute gold. That tells you whether to stop or go. I see opportunities every day. There's multiple opportunities when I wake up every morning, and there's opportunities presented to me. And 99.9% I'm going to pass on because I put it through that filter system of the ACT program. Is this a good opportunity, and is it right for me? And generally the answer is no. It's going to just take my time and take me away from my focus of where I need to be. And every once in a while, one will drop at my doorstep, and I will say, oh, hell yeah, I'm all over that. But it's only because I filtered out the other 99.9% that I could actually do that. So it's really good that, you learned how to identify and how to change directions and where you should be running to, to make this all happen for you. And Gregory, go ahead. You're muted there.
There you go.
There we go.
I want to say thank you to you, John. Could you save me from a cliff? Back in September, back in September, I was heading to the big cliff of jumping into the 401k election. And you came back and says, Greg, don't do it. And I'm glad, and I'm very, very, very grateful that I listened, because the field came out with 11 people in the contest. I would have been competing against 11 people. Of the 11, many are more popular, because it's a popularity vote, not what you know, it's who you know and how many you know.
Yeah.
And it would have been a waste of time and money and then go through that feeling of rejection again. So like, so
Yeah.
my gratitude and recognition to let the gallery know John saved me from my cliff. He's well worth it.
Awesome. Well, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Gregory. And then back to Woody's point about that whole year-end process that businesses do. I've been working on creating a document for us specifically to how to double. I'm gonna basically present you guys probably next week with a document of how to double your business in 2021. Doesn't matter what you're doing. This will show you how to easily double it. And it's all it's going to do. It's just going to ask you some simple questions of things that you've done this year. And then you get to look at that and you see, okay, based on these were my efforts and these were my results. And by making some minor tweaks, I can almost guarantee you we can double your business in the next year. Just by being able to look at that stuff. It's like hard data, hard evidence sitting right in front of us. And, you know, in some cases, it'll be a smack in the face. In some cases, it'll be, oh shit, why didn't I do that? I've got a 0 there. I did 0 of those. Maybe you might want to do more next year. Or there'd be stuff where you go, man, I did a lot of that and didn't do anything. Why did I do that? Are you going to continue? It's hard to continue when it's looking at you like that. If you don't pay attention, if you don't know, you'll just continue doing whatever it is that you're doing and you'll continue to get the same result. So really, really important. It's an important exercise for all of us to do. And, you know, when you look at companies that are run by ad agencies, they're doing this on a constant basis. They're not waiting till the end of the year. I'm saying do it at least once a year, kind of a reflection process. But, you know, really successful companies, and I think that's what we all want, is we all want that success. We should be doing what they're doing if we want that kind of result. They're doing it constantly. They do it after every campaign. They do it quarterly as a company. You know, they have employees doing it. Some places have an employee do these evaluations on themselves on a monthly basis. You know, it's not a fun thing for the employee because it really puts them on the radar for what they're doing well and what they're not. And it also, from an employee standpoint, it levels you up where you can't go back. You can't slide. The company knows it. And I think most of us don't want to be judged and regulated like that. I mean, we live in America, the land of the free and all of that. So, and that's what pushes people that are in day jobs into entrepreneurialism. You know, we want that freedom. We don't want somebody telling us what to do and when to do it, and, you know, when to get up, where to be, all that. We hate that idea. We want freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of money. You know, you got to have both if you have true freedom. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have the time to enjoy yourself, or, you know, you're missing out on things that really make you happy, that's not freedom. You have to have the time and the money to do whatever you want. And that's what drives us as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as startups. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So, and hopefully, you know, all of the stuff that you guys are learning from me are helping you position yourself in that way. Hopefully, you know, it's helped you all move in the last year. And this thing I'm going to produce for you guys is going to help you double that next year. So if you guys can all double, that'd make me very happy.
That would be 00 for me.
Well, maybe we need some special exceptions for for some of us.
$0 and 0 cents.
Well,
but you know, when I started
progress.
There was a term I've forgotten about, but it was called laws carry forward. And this program this year has been a lot of expenditures, a lot of money coming out. And every time I would hear of a guy like you know, making a crap load of money in a half hour, the first thing I would do is what any good computer operator does, is hit himself in the head with a hammer. And that's not very effective, though. And really, what you have to figure out is, look, you're going to have a loss carry forward coming into this as new business. And to go in 20, 30 grand, I remember at Keller Williams, I went in a couple $100 grand before I started to make money.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now it's sustained me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, think about that whole thing, what you said, that loss carry forward. This is the way I look at that. I do a lot of this stuff in my business and in my life of what other people, this is an analogy for really what it is I'm setting up dominoes. So like, when I tell you the story about how I sold $140,000 on stage in 70 minutes, that's the end. That's the last domino that fell. And we find out that wasn't even the one. It just set up the next one to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. There was a lot of dominoes I put in play to make that happen. So it wasn't like I just got out of bed in the morning and said, yeah, I'm going to go do this and make 140 grand in an hour. There was relationships that needed to be created. There was a lot of that, what you called, expenses moving forward that went into that. That was an investment up front to make that happen. So you're just in that place. You just haven't got to that home run yet, but you're a whole lot closer. I guarantee you are a whole lot closer right now than you were at the beginning of the year.
A lot of us come into these courses, we don't even know who we are.
Yeah.
I came into this course, I had no idea who I was.
I'll tell you who you were. You were a guy standing on the edge of a cliff looking down and couldn't even see the bottom to know if there was a pad down there for you. That's where you were at the beginning of the year.
I was happily retired and I got on this thing, a $90 program with Craig DeWalt. So
yeah, at least we've got you turned away from the cliff. You got green pasture ahead of you.
Great speaking gig with Melody Harper, and it cost me $99. It was a $2,000 course, and then it was time to sign up for the $10,000 course. I thought, you know what, man? Why don't you go and study what you just bought? Master that before, you know what I mean? Before you end up with a shopping full of everyone's courses. I mean, the brain can only take so much.
Yeah, but
unless you're John Limbaugh.
Remember, the problem there is that create, demand, and desire part. That's the heart and the head. The head is what was just speaking out of your mouth just now of logic. But the heart does not reason. The heart it has no logic. It just wants what it wants. It's like a little kid, and it's like, give me the candy now or I'm going to go ballistic.
You buy a course, you never open.
Yeah, and that's why we buy so much stuff. And that's why if you understand real, true marketing, that's why it becomes so easy to sell stuff. If you figure out what the heart of your prospect wants and you seduce the heart with the promise of that, that's going to blow their demand and desire right through the roof. When you do that, the only thing standing between you and a sale is an objection. You overcome the objection, you got the sale. It's a done deal. Your offer can absolutely suck. It doesn't matter because they're going to buy it no matter what. So that's the four pieces that grab attention, create demand and desire, eliminate objections, and make your offer. When we master that, we've got a handle on it. We can conquer the world with that one. And like I said, marketing is the most valuable asset you're going to put in your tool belt of your entire life, your entire career in business. If you don't get it, you don't understand it, and you don't find people that do, that can sell for you, you're probably going to be out of business. You're going to be dead in the water. I've never seen an exception to that rule. Somebody has to be selling. Somebody has to get it. Doesn't matter how good your product or service is. If there's not somebody to sell it, it's not going to move. Not going to help you, not going to help the person it was designed to help. So, all right, guys. Well, anything else before we wrap up here for today?
John?
Yes. Sounds like Tom.
Yeah, does using Cloudflare adversely affect the SEO on your websites?
It should not. Cloudflare is it's like a DNS service that serves up images and stuff faster. It like caches your information. So that should actually help you.
And helps protect you against attacks by hackers, right?
Yeah, it helps your load speed. So your site should load quicker and so yeah, that's a factor for SEO is load speed.
Okay, good. It came up in a discussion the other day and nobody knew the answer. So I figured I'd ask the guru.
Yeah. There should be no adverse effect from using Cloudflare or any other service like that.
Thank you.
Unless they're slow, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then they could adversely affect you. But the whole idea is to serve images much faster than would come off of your own server.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's it for this week. Let's wrap it up. We'll be back on regular time. I think we're going to be regular time next week. And we'll start with the exercise. I'll prepare that document and we'll start filling in some numbers and get our party started for 2021.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
See you later, Commander.
Okay.